Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. This is 2 days after Thanksgiving, so I hope you guys also have had a great Thanksgiving this year. Did you guys eat turkey, or what did you guys eat for Thanksgiving, and what are you guys thankful for? Post in the comments below. But without further ado, let's get started with this reaction video.
The topic is about growing up as a Chinese American. So I want to start off to give a little backstory in case you guys are new to my channel. So when I was growing up, my parents never really told me, oh Whaley, you're Chinese or you're Asian. Believe it or not, growing up, I didn't even realize that there were other ethnic backgrounds in the world. I thought we were all the same people. I obviously noticed the difference between me and my classmates. I would see that we have different hair colors, different eye colors, and we would speak a different language back at home. But for some reason, it never clicked to me because my parents never drilled it in my head like, oh, you're Asian or you're Chinese.
Yeah, I mean, growing up as a Chinese American, I never really seen anything different other than the first couple of years when I first came to the US. Because those years were the years that I didn't really understand what was going on around me. But let's see what she has to say.
Everyone as human beings, and that may sound stupid to y'all, but for real, I did not know the difference growing up. I just thought everyone was taught different things in their household, but I didn't realize that meant that we came from a different ethnic background.
Well, I knew that I was a Chinese American because I actually grew up in China, believe it or not, for the first 5.5 years of my life. So yeah, I knew that I was very Chinese and very different when I first came to the US.
So the first day of preschool rolled around and it was nothing like I expected it. I grew up just speaking Cantonese, Chinese, whatever you want to call it, in my family. My family didn't see the need of teaching me English because they felt like, well, she's gonna learn it in school anyway, so might as well teach her her native tongue. My parents did not teach me a word of English. I probably knew things like apple, I knew my name. Pretty much about it. I didn't know English at all going into preschool, so I remember going to school, looking at everyone and was like, what are they saying? Eventually, by the end of preschool, I picked up on the language and we went into kindergarten and I understood English just fine.
Yes, that's practically what I knew. I sucked at English when I was in China. I sucked really badly, and that's the truth. I can imagine you guys saying that you guys suck at English too, but it takes a long time to get the language down, especially because it's a quite hard language with a lot of exceptions and different pronunciations, like the word CH, or the pronunciation for CH. You can have character, chase. See, they both begin with CH, but character is pronounced CH with a K, right? Character. And then CH for chase is just chase, right? So English was a pretty hard language for me, and I knew words like banana, pencil, eraser. That's it.
Then third grade came around, and third grade was about the time mark where I started feeling uncomfortable about being Chinese. Growing up in my family, all we ate was Chinese food. Every meal consisted of rice, so you each have your bowl of rice, and then there's all the meats and veggies or whatever, and we all share it. Hardly did I ever eat anything outside of Chinese food. The only taste of American food I would get would probably be McDonald's, or sometimes we would go to Denny's, which is a diner.
This is a little different for me. So at home, my mom would definitely make sometimes Chinese food. Most of them were Chinese food or Asian food, but it wasn't only rice. I had noodles, and I didn't want to, but my mom made me eat school lunch in elementary school, so I got used to the taste of American food quite fastly, and their dumplings sucked. That's all I remember. About lunch, of course. And also that their quantity was more than their quality.
Second grade is the first time I started feeling any sort of discrimination. Second grade, not third grade. So in second grade, I moved to a new school and I was super excited about it, and I wanted to buy school lunches because I've always kind of brought my own lunch and no one's ever really said anything about it. I think it's because we were younger at the time. In second grade, I decided the first day of school, Mom, I want to buy lunch at school. I just wanted to try it. So my parents gave me lunch money that day, and when I went into the lunch line, I remember looking at everything and I was just like, how do you eat this? After that day, I went home and I was telling my mom, like, I don't really like the food, like that's not what I want to eat, so I think I'm just gonna go back to bringing my own food. So my mom was like, cool, okay. Growing up, something that my parents would always make, like this was my favorite thing, this was my jam, I ate it almost every single day, and it is pork belly with pickled mustard greens. It's like a stew that you would make, and it was just, oh, it was so good. Anytime that my mom made sun choy kojiok, I would be like, oh, today is my lucky day. So that night my mom made a big old pot of it so that she can pack me lunch for the next day, and she put it in like this like thermal warmer thing. It was like a cup like this. There were layers. On the top she put my rice, and on the bottom she put the meat. And I was so excited about lunchtime, okay girl, like I knew that was in my lunch bag, and like while I was in class I was like looking forward to lunch. I'm like, I cannot wait to eat this. So by the time I get to lunch, I'm like ready, right? I like bust out my food, I'm like putting my rice down, putting my meat down, I got my chopsticks out, and I'm ready to eat. And then all of a sudden, all my classmates look at me and then they're like, what is that smell? And at first I thought they thought it smelled good, because to me, this was a shit I grew up with, and this smells amazing if you ask me. So I'm all like excited. I'm like, ooh, they want to know what I'm eating. Okay. They all come over and they're all like hovering over, right? They're like, what is that? Like, what is that smell? So I was like, oh, it's a pork belly with like pickled veggies. It's a Chinese dish. And then after I said pork belly, I don't know if it's because in America you don't call bacon pork belly, you call it bacon, but it's really pork belly. I don't know. The second I said pork belly, everyone freaked out and they're like, ew, what are you eating? Why are you eating that? That's so disgusting. Oh my god, it smells.
It's a lot more diverse nowadays because, you know, there are different cultures and people seem to understand a lot more. Of course, there's still people fighting for like Black Lives Matter because of some recent drama caused in America, but I do believe that the world, and not just like in America, but like the world itself, has decided to like accept all cultures and make itself a little more diverse than it has ever been before.
Oh my god, it smells so bad. Literally everyone just started talking about it and they made it seem like the most disgusting thing ever. They all walked away, and I remember just like my heart sunk. I felt so embarrassed, but I didn't even know what I was embarrassed about, because I literally went from, oh my god, I'm so proud that I'm eating this and I'm having this, to, oh my god, why did everyone freak out? I don't understand. I felt so embarrassed. Like I didn't even know if I should even eat anymore at that point. I was really hungry, it smelled really good, I wanted to eat it, but because everyone looked at me as if it's so disgusting, I felt like if I ate it, that would mean I'm disgusting.
I'm guessing she's going along with the phrase, you are what you eat, but I personally think that it doesn't really matter what you eat. It only matters what kind of person you personally are and how you treat others. So I think she has herself in a sticky situation and gave in to peer pressure.
So I took a few bites and I just put it away, and I pretended like I didn't even like it myself. And I remember just feeling so disgusted with myself because I was lying to myself, you know. I wanted to fit in, so I acted like something that I liked and something that I was so proud of was disgusting to me. So the next story I want to talk about is the day I found out I was Chinese, okay? It was a day in 3rd grade where a new kid came to our school. I believe he was Taiwanese, so he spoke Mandarin, and he had a really flat face, which I hate to even say that, but let's just be real. Like, I have a really flat face. And seriously, can we talk about this without people getting offended? Like, I'm just gonna be real and just describe what I feel, okay? Most Asian people do have more of a flatter profile. And if you don't, that's great. I'm not saying all Asians do. Many of us don't have really prominent cheekbones. We don't have deep set eyes. So I remember that Taiwanese kid, he had a really flat face, like even more flat than mine. And all the kids in class were making fun of him. And I overheard them, and they're just like, he has such a flat face, like did he get slapped or something growing up? Growing up, I was someone that just listened to everybody else. I never really had an opinion of my own. Like if that's what the majority is saying, I'm gonna be like, okay, yeah, you're right. So there was a moment where those mean kids looked at me, and they looked at me as if they were waiting for me to like jump in and say something too. And me being the loser that I was, I'm just like, oh, saying, like I need to agree with them because otherwise they would laugh at me. So I say back to them like, yeah, he has such a flat face. And then they all bursted out laughing, looked at me, and one of the guys were like, so do you, aren't you guys the same or something? So that day after school, I go home and I tell my mom, and I'm like,
all right, this is a little bit not what I've experienced before. I mean, there was definitely like nothing based on like my looks. I never really got comments about how I look. It was more based on my Chinese accent and how I couldn't really understand what was going on around me at the specific point in time, which is first grade through third grade. And I believe like things started going uphill for me in third grade, but for the first 3 years I came to America, I had a huge Chinese accent. And not only a Chinese accent, I did not understand what was going on around me. Like, not a thing. Whether it was like why we're reading this, why we have to read this, and why the people are so nice there. And actually not the kids, but like the teacher. Of course there were nice kids, but there were kids who weren't as nice and were a little bit on the more jokester, prankster, kind of vibey kids. Like the kids who take jokes way too far. And I had one of those kids in second grade, and it was a he. He was a boy. And he sat next to me for reading class, or for like the first half of the year, and I guess we had a lot of conflicts back then. He kept on trying to cross over my personal boundaries, and I didn't like it, so I was like going home and being like, I don't like this kid, to my parents, and I got my seat moved. So that was really cool of my teacher.